Okay, so let's jump into this video and talk about our burst knock control feature we're going to be finding in our GM Gen 3 ECU. So in the previous video, we looked at our knock control. We understand that it's there to save our engine. We have that knock retard that can kick in if it starts to sense knock, and then we have that knock learn factor in the background as a long-term protector, looking at both our high and low octane tables, and we can alter the overall spark timing if we start to see too much knock retard kicking in. So the burst knock is going to be the anticipation of a knock event. It's not going to actually sense knock occurring. It's going to be getting ahead of the game, and it's going to be doing that based on looking at the change in our cylinder air mass at any given engine speed. So we're going to have a table that's associated with a delta cylinder air mass based on engine speed, and if it exceeds that value, then the GM engineers have figured out that if it goes higher, it's going to go into a knock retard event if the table wasn't there. So what's going to happen is it's going to look at that rate of change. If it goes beyond that, it's going to look at a lookup table. It's going to go ahead and pull some ignition timing out. And what we're going to find is it's there to do a very, very important job. It's going to not allow the knock retard to constantly kick in under normal transient throttle conditions. So as we're driving around, as we're shifting gears, and we're moving our throttle modulation back and forth, we're going to find that if the burst knock is not present, if it's not enabled, then we're going to have knock retard constantly kicking in. Now, if this occurs and we're trying to use that low and high octane table with our knock learn factor, we're going to be finding that our knock retard is going to constantly count up, and then our knock learn factor is going to start going from 1.0 down to 0 over a long period of time. So we don't want that to happen. The burst knock is going to be used to counteract any knock retard during part throttle or shifting conditions. So it's going to have a very important job. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the burst knock tables. We're going to be setting it up in our VCM scanner, and they're going to be taking a look at two different data logs, one with the burst knock control on and one with it off, so we can clearly see what the purpose is of this particular feature. So without further wait, let's jump into this video so we can check it all out. Okay, so let's jump in here. Let's talk about our knock control a little bit further. Now, we saw in the previous video how to set up our knock retard in our scanner and what the knock retard means and how we can kind of work with the tables so we can evaluate what's going on when we're doing our tuning process and be able to utilize the knock sensor. So if we jump into our engine here, into our spark, and then back into the retard section, the one thing that I omitted in that video was this burst knock retard. I wanted to do a separate video on this because it's something that is in the background all the time. It's used for a very specific reason, which we're going to see. It's very effective, but we want to make sure that this burst knock retard isn't going to be artificial kicking in and just creating some problems for us. So what we're going to be doing is taking a look at how this functions and how it's going to work in conjunction with the actual knock retard. They're going to be going hand in hand, and again, this is there for a purpose. So the first thing that we need to understand is that this burst knock retard is an anticipation of knock potentially occurring. It doesn't mean that it's going to occur, but it means that it could occur. And GM has modeled the engine well enough in the stock format that if we have a change, we open up this table, in our cylinder air mass, so the delta change, a change in our cylinder air mass as we're giving it throttle and moving through different load points, that it could lead to knock. And what they've probably done is sit on an engine dyno and constantly move the throttle around and then look at how much the knock retard would have kicked in if this wasn't being used.